wait to get the guys' feedback.
He's the captain of kindness, the teacher we need, helping every simmer take off and succeed.
Well, hello and welcome back. Here is part 2 as we continue along with career mode in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Here are the things that we'll be talking about in this session, continuing career mode. So we saw the first part. If you haven't seen the first part, take a look here and find the link and away you go. In that first part, we just did the basics, how to get started, what you have to do, the kind of funds you have available, and how limited it is before you get going. Now we'll take a closer look at top earning certifications, harder missions, and your own company. We'll even start our own company during this session today. Part 3 will eventually come, where we will go into the more advanced edges of the certification areas, and that would take lots of hours of missions and lots of money to get into those certifications, and we'll talk about that. Today we'll also get into specializations. I want to show you that screen and show you how those get finished or how they start becoming visible for you so that you can get into those specialization areas. Let's get started. In the first part, we talked about 3 things. This is at the very least the first 2. You have to get your private pilot first, and then your commercial pilot license so that you can start making money to get any other certifications, including to get rotorcraft. You need to make more money. You start with 5,000 credits. You waste 4,500 on the first 2 certifications, and then you can go into either rotorcraft and follow that path, or continue on in the fixed wing path. And that's what we talked about in our part 1. Now, you can see on this page, this is a great overview of where you want to go next and shows you all the necessary prerequisites to get each of these certifications or endorsements. Some of them are ratings, some of them are endorsements, and some of them are simply to get you to your next license. For instance, your commercial pilot license. It's not a rating, it's not an endorsement, it's actually a license. Same with over here, transport pilot license airplane. It's a license, all right? Whereas you see some of these, your jet engine rating, your turbo engine rating, your high performance endorsement, which goes into your pilot book, powered lift rating. But we covered this in part 1, all right? And that's, you have to start there, and that's where you start. The next step that I'd like you to take is to get into your instrument rating. Now, the instrument rating costs $10,000, but it lets you fly through the clouds, and it lets you fly schedules for airlines, and it lets you collect a lot of money and a lot of experience. So I would suggest this is your next step. Doesn't have to be. You can go into the tailwheel endorsement. You can go into the night rating. You can not do anything more and just do missions and build money. All right, so keep that in mind. You're not forced to go anywhere. But in real life, this would be the next step if you want to go and work for airlines and be on schedule. Schedules mean even when there's low flying clouds, you can take off and fly into the clouds. Remember that missions without this certification, missions expect you to stay under those clouds. And some of those missions were putting you into the mountains. A lot of them are. You got to climb into the mountains, over the mountains, and there's low flying clouds in those mountains. And you've got to find a way around them, underneath them. You cannot go through clouds without this rating. Okay, so this is an important rating to get. So you build up enough funds and missions, finally pay for this rating, and then you're never worried about going into clouds, right? That's why I say it's your next step. And here's what you get in there in the instrument rating training. Now remember, with instrument rating, you are going to do just the screen. This is really important. I've done a complete IFR course on udemy.com long before I heard this was coming for 2024. This is great. There are some things missing that I put into, like holding patterns and stuff like that I put into my course, but this is free. This is built into the sim. This doesn't cost you anything. And the exam for it is just credits you build with your missions. As you can see by my credits up here, I've done a bunch of missions. I've got the 10,000 credits. I can now take this exam and try to pass it, all right? And it gives you the very basics. It certainly does. But the real point of it is you're learning to do climbs and descents and turning and all the basic functions by reference to only your screen. And in this case, it's the G1000 glass cockpit. You don't look outside. Whether you can see outside or not doesn't matter. You're focusing on the screen and learning to read what's happening on your screen, scanning what's happening, and learning to fly from that screen. Also setting up an ILS approach or a VOR, and that's the green indicator on the CDI. The green indicator is for your land-based navigational aids. The magenta indicator is for your GPS when you're flying, like up here. Our Nav Basics GPS navigation, it's magenta. All right. ILS approach is very common, of course. It's again radio based on the ground and also synchronized with satellite data, and these things are used on an everyday basis. In the IFR test, though, it really isn't that hard. Honestly, the test is not that hard, and I think because they don't want to have a high failure rate, they don't want to have frustrated people, they're going to make this easy. But you know what? These are great intro to IFR. There's plenty more to learn about IFR, but this will get you on the path, and that's their instrument rating, which is simpler than the real life ones. All right, and then once you do that, you get live missions unlocked. And then one of the reasons for the live missions unlocked is that no matter what the weather is at that time of day, you can fly the mission. Without this live missions unlocked, you have to fly the missions that are always nice weather. Once you have live missions unlocked, I've got extra bonuses for flying in lousy weather. Great, extra bonuses, I'll take them. And there is a slider that you can do. Let's come back to here for a second. All right, you see up there in the upper right corner, it says live here. You can actually move the slider to different parts of the day. I think it's within a 6-hour thing and or a 12-hour thing, and you'll see some of these missions will change because you're going back in time, which is pretty cool. Here's another example. Now, in the first part, I said click on a mission, see what's involved. Now I'm going to say, once you've got this stage where you're building missions and you're building money and you're building certifications, now I'm going to suggest that you use the drop down. All right, this drop down list is the way to go. All right, we can see from here, the drop down list will show you all your missions. You can see from that list that we have every kind of mission that's available on this screen. And don't forget, we can zoom out and go to another area of the world and find more missions if you want. All right, but you can see here just by looking at the list, maybe you only want ferry flights for now. All right, so you just scroll down looking at ferry flights. What are you going to make for it? This one gives you 1,500. Here's a plane repositioning. So that's a ferry flight, right? You're actually sending it somewhere else. Here's an actual scheduled flight for 38. Wow, 38 compared to these ones. This is a high paying one. That's great, but it's an helicopter. I've got the helicopter rating, so they're showing up. All right. Here's another helicopter one. But you can see in here, this person needs her aircraft moved to somewhere, and you can grab that one too. So, oops, that's behind my head. I'm sorry. So you can grab that one too. So these are great. You're moving an aircraft. There's just you. There's no cargo. There's no people to move. You're just bringing someone their aircraft back from repairs or something like that. So this is pretty cool. All right, there's also discovery flights with the camera. Those pay well too. So, you know, right now at this stage, in the early stage of your career or the early stage of using this career mode, you're getting payments like this. You're going to see those increase with time, with experience, and as you continue your missions, and they'll jump a huge amount when you start, put extra zeros on there when you start running your own company. So that's important to see that. So use the drop-down list to find the missions of the type and the credits that you seek and go from there. In the next one, I want to talk about top certifications. These are ones that you won't get right away. You have to build missions, build specializations, and then eventually be eligible to be able to tackle these areas. But it also is a way to drive where you're going to go. You can say to yourself, I want to do the charter service. They seem to pay well, and I like doing that. I want to fly the Vision Jet. I want to take people, wealthy people around the world. So that's what I want to do in career mode. So you've got an idea what you want to do. Now you can go into specializations. You can look at the charter service and see what's needed in the specializations. A certain level, certain prerequisites, maybe certain licenses, and then you can work towards those. All right. Same with this over here. Here's a medevac one. You'll notice these are sort of grayed out. They're semi-transparent. You'll see these on your map. You'll click on them and it'll say you need to complete all the specialization prerequisites first. So it's not available, but it gives you an idea. This one's got a very high difficulty rating too, so this will be a high-paying job once you finally get it. You would also have to be okay with the Cessna Grand Caravan, which I am now, finally. In here, the PC-12 for the charter service, but you'll also see the Vision Jet if you've got the jet engine rating. So this is cool. Find these things, click on them, and see what they're called. You'll get to know what these symbols mean, and then go into your specializations and see what needs to be done to get it. All right, and so that's what we'll do. We'll go over here into specializations. Again, I'm going to show you some live screens, but for now I'm just giving you some snapshots. Here we see cargo, transport, light. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do for a while until I get tired of it, because I can do a lot of missions and they do pay well. And I don't have someone in the back seat complaining because the plane was a bit rough, right? And so this is why I like this one. So you notice in here the prerequisite. I've just gone down the list. First of all, I picked airplane at the top. I've gone down the list until I find the area I want to be in. They've got a light and a medium and probably a heavy. I haven't looked further down, but certainly the light is my first step where I get to do these missions. These will happen with time. They'll also happen as you get more endorsements. I got my high performance endorsement, so I can fly, or at least I have one of the two prerequisites here. At this stage, while I'm recording this, I now have the tailwheel endorsement, so I now can fly the Beaver. I can now fly the Draco, which is great. This is a Got Friends airplane made just for 2024. It's beautiful. But for now, I can do the Cessna Skyhawk, and I can pick missions for light transport, which means they'll put a bunch of parcels in the plane, in the back seat and the front seat. All right, but you notice in here I needed at least a level 10, and if I go and look at my levels, you'll see that I'm up at the level 32 or something by now. I have my commercial license. I've performed airplane missions with landing smoothness above 50%. That's pretty relaxed, you know. You have to really hit hard to be able to get lower than 50%. Score airplane missions with C or above. Now, C is a pass, really, for a lot of things. So you got a C or above. That means you've done airplane missions and you've done okay. And now you can move on to cargo transport. They're making it so it's not so hard to get these things, you guys. In real life, these things are harder. In real life, you have to really jump through the hoops and work hard to get these things. But they are real careers. You notice my aerial advertising here right below that one. The bar is not finished. I'm missing something in there. I could click it and find out what I'm missing. I don't meet the criteria of one of the check marks in there. And that's what you need to do. You notice I can do flight seeing. Those types of missions will come up. Ferry flights, first flights are all there, of course. Skydive, I've done a few of those. You know, so they're fun too. Aerial advertising I haven't got yet at this stage in my career. So that's the specializations. And remember, you've got a separate one for airplanes and a separate one for rotorcraft. I'm getting a lot of field spraying, crop dusting with a helicopter because I don't have it in airplanes yet, but I do have it in helicopters. So they're the only kind of missions I'm getting for crop dusting. All right, another example here, the charter service private. That's where I said, you know, you're going to get the wealthy ones that need to be ferried out to an airport so that they can catch a flight. Look at this. I don't have my jet engine rating yet. I will get it because I want to fly the Vision Jet. And I want to take people, wealthy people, who are going to pay me a lot to get them to the airport in time. I've already done some missions here. I've got my high performance endorsement, and I'm taking them on the Beechcraft Bonanza, which is a fast little plane, retractable gear, and away it goes. Beautiful. And so, and at this point now, I do have my tailwheel endorsement, so I can start doing Beaver flights. But that's the charter service. So these two, I'm going to do a lot of. They're good money. They're easy to do. And you just have to follow the procedures and grind away. All right, the heavies. Yeah, passenger transport airline. Look at the three choices here. All right, so you need, in this one here, you need turboprop airline transport pilot rating. And this one you need the heavy airliner rating. And this one you need jet airline transport pilot rating. Each one of these cost a lot of money. You're working your way up toward it. You notice in here I don't have 3 of the prerequisites. I don't have jet airline transport. I don't perform flights with full AT procedures within it. Well, I haven't done all of them. I have done 17 flights with full ATC. I could easily get this one even before I get my other ratings. Score airplane missions with passengers with A or above. I've only done 6 airplane missions so far, and all 6 I got A or above. Or maybe I've done 7, but one of them was a B. All right, but you got to get 15 of those. You got to have full ATC for 20 of them, and I got to go get the jet airline transport pilot rating if I wish to fly these. I don't. I'm not the type of streamer or the type of flyer who cares about flying the heavies. I like flying turboprops for sure, all the way up to Dash 8 or ATRs, or as you can see in here, the ES30. Certainly I would love doing that. They're fun to fly. And they're not too far. They're typically the shorter hops. Okay, the high performance endorsement, that's the one I got so that I could fly the Beechcraft Bonanza. Now keep in mind, just like in real life, the PPL, the private pilot license, allows you to fly single engine, non-high performance airplanes with up to 4 seats. All right. When you take a look at each of these, now the Beaver could have just 4 seats, but it is a high performance plane. Look at the 3 propellers on it with the big, huge radial engine. It's a high performance plane. The Beechcraft Bonanza is a high performance plane. They called it at one point the Queen of the Skies. There's a V-tail version of it too. They call it the Doctor Killer, right? And that thing can really go. And I have a hard time putting that down on the runway because it just wants to fly. Here you can see also the Baron, which is the twin. I don't have the twin endorsement. I don't have the multi-engine, and I don't have the high performance. All right, so you can see at this picture, I don't. I do now have high performance, but I don't have the multi-engine yet. So you can just see by looking at the endorsement, it tells you what your prereqs are, what you need to work on. By looking at the specialization, private charter, and I want to use planes like this, you can see what you need to get there. These 2 things will drive you towards what you want to do day to day and eventually what you want to do as a company. I've already opened my first company, which I'm going to show you in this session. And that first company is a transport company where I can transport goods back and forth and just keep doing flights like that and build up the money. You can get paid some good money for that. And I opened up a company to do that now, and the company's paying a lot of money to do that. And now I can start affording more things. So we'll get into that. But to get this high performance endorsement to fly these high performance planes, you need to take that exam for 5,000 credits. And then that'll unlock that specialization. Now, the headquarters here that you're seeing here, I'm just giving you a brief of how it works. We started here first with our PPL right behind me here. And we got our first certification. We went on and got our commercial, and from there branch to wherever you want. As you can see, money accumulates here to afford new certifications and company expenses. This is a recap of the screen. You should have been doing some of this stuff since part 1. Okay? Down here we can see missions are fun and challenging. This is where we're going to make the money, and we can select any mission that you please. They all start out the same way. You have to start from a cold start, take off the stuff, get the engine started. They just do Control E, so you don't have to know any specific airplane procedure. They keep it simple for us. You taxi to a hold short. You got to stop there. You got to make the radio call. You take off, all the rest of it. You fly to your destination, which is the longest part of each of these missions. You can use autopilot, as I mentioned before in part 1. And then you have to approach the airport and land. And if you're not going to follow the square brackets to get in there and properly land, then you should at least fly over the airport at circuit height and do a left turn, and away you go. And again, I left a small lesson on that in part 1. I could probably attach it in here too. So just to remind you what needs to be done at your destination airport in every single case. Even helicopters follow a proper pattern procedure. You'll see that. All right. So you got to know how to do that. Additionally, now we also have the specializations I just showed you where you will grow with missions. So the missions you do add to the specializations. You can't just go in there and say, I want that specialization and click on it. This is something you go in and look and see how it's going and see what more you need to get there and come back to missions and do them. And finally, companies. Level will grow. So your level, I'm at level 48 here as from this picture when I took it yesterday or the day before. My reputation can increase or decrease. I actually had 2 really bad helicopter flights where the helicopter went wonky on me. I couldn't control it, and I wrote a course on helicopters. So it's like, what is going on here? And it hit the ground, and now I've got a crash on my record. My reputation dropped from an A down to a B. In here, it's now in a B. It actually dropped twice, so that's what you're seeing here. Now I got to do more missions and build it up. Since that incident with helicopters, I went back to airplanes and did a bunch of transport missions. I'm now back up to an S. It doesn't really matter. You're not bragging to people. Here I'm showing you the picture, but you're not there to brag. It's just Your reputation will help you make more money. It'll help you get more opportunities, as in real life, right? Here you can also see I've got a promotion to my own office. That'll happen with time also. And up here you can see I've built up 58,000 credits. I'm holding the money for now, and I'm going to start a company, and that's what I'll show you live. Which brings me to my next point, and that is companies. You might eventually buy. Now, you might not. There are some who are saying, I'm never going to own a company. I don't care about that part of this. And that's perfectly fine too, all right? Some people did the career mode here to learn the lessons. That's all they wanted. Some are doing missions after missions and they're loving it. They don't want a career, or they don't want a company. Now, once you get into a company and you pay the money for it, and you buy a used plane, you're going to see your pay increase tenfold. So where you might have got 3,200 credits for a mission, now you'll get 32,000 credits for a mission. You will have some overhead, some insurance and repairs, but you'll see the money jump up into the hundreds of thousands very quickly. So I will say, starting a company, save up and buy a company. Don't just save up and go get a next certification just so you can tell everybody you got them all. Focus on the certifications you want and build up the money and buy a company, honestly. And I'll show you the benefit of that. I'm going to demo that, all right, on what it's all about inside a company. So there's all the sections that, it's a recap, but there's all the sections and the status I'm in at this point. 10 specializations are unlocked. That's a lot of missions. It's not telling you how many missions I've done, but I've put in a ton of hours every day to do missions just so that I can give you guys this video and show you what's happening, and on Twitch too. The missions drop down to browse easily, as I mentioned before, and you can see in here the different missions that are available now. The top paying one in there is a flight, last call, 3810. Yeah, I think I showed you that page already. So they'll grow with each mission. Now you notice in here, this is a mission that I'm finishing, a ferry flight, a plane transfer. There's lots of these in there where you just take in an airplane. In this case, I've got my high performance endorsement. I'm taking a high performance plane, the Bonanza, and taking it. Look at this. It nailed me for taxi speeding. That's my fault. It nailed me for radio communications. Again, that's my fault. It's not a bug of the system. I missed one of the prompts in the upper right corner. I was focusing on landing. I turned to final, and I know better as a real pilot. I turned to final, didn't make the radio call. It had the little prompt up there to press enter to make the radio call, you're on final, and I missed it. And I go down and land, and then it says, you know, an error message at the top that said I missed a radio call. Yeah, I did. And it happens, right? Respect the condition of the aircraft. I must have gone a bit too fast. I lost a percentage or two on that one. Landing smoothness. This is a beast. I wrote a lesson on this thing. I taught Jane Reynolds of the Microsoft official channel how to fly this thing, you know, in the sim. I should know better with this plane. I jumped in it, did a mission, and thought, whoa, I got to practice with this thing in free flight. It just wants to go. So there we go, 79% on my landing smoothness. That's how it goes. But luckily, the numbers came through that I still made an S on this mission. All right. Now, nobody needs to know this. I'm not going to plaster this all around and talk about it forever. I'm just showing you a typical mission. You can still get good marks. Reputation has gone up. My experience has gone up, and this will drive our specializations as we go along. A number of mission areas are examined during your flight. This one only has two. Other depends on the mission. Other ones will, you know, like I mentioned about moving goods around. Whether you handled them properly. You're doing 90-degree turns and tightening those turns as you go in for a landing. Your parcels are literally flying around. You don't see that, but you're going to see it in the end result, and you'll lose marks on that and experience on that. So do gentler turns when you have transporter people, you know, and so they're looking at a number of criteria for that. Your personal pilot performance reflects how you handle the plane and your cargo and your passengers, and you'll see that number show up too. All right, here's a cargo transport medium. Yay, I've made it to medium now. And now the turboprop engine rating has allowed me to fly the Caravan and the PC-12. As of this recording, I haven't flown the PC-12 here in this sim. I certainly flew it and wrote a lesson on it in 2020. But here, the Cessna, I love this thing. It has reverse prop, so does the PC-12. And you can get into really short fields, and you can also get your, I don't know if it's an endorsement, but it's a prerequisite on some of the specializations that you actually land on grass fields. The Caravan's going to take you into those fields, and you have to be able to stop quickly. The Caravan comes in hot, but you've got reverse prop. And it was already mapped to my Bravo, so it was great. Maybe, I don't know who did that. It just is there. It's one of those things that was already mapped. Is like, yes, I didn't have to figure it out. I come in for landing, and the minute my wheels touch down, I'm letting the nose fall quickly. I'm putting on my brakes, but I'm also putting it into reverse mode, and it actually is aerodynamically stopping me like it should. You can get into tight areas, and you can get out of those areas too using short field techniques. So this is cool. All right. So once I get the rest of those bars, what am I missing? Look, perform cargo airplane missions. I've only got one at the pit. When I took this picture, I've only got one. I need 4 more cargo airplane missions, and then I've met all the criteria, and I can start flying these guys because I've already got the rating. I just need the extra missions. And by this recording right now at this moment, I have all 5, and I'm now doing cargo transport medium, which is a higher priced, higher paying job. So that I can grab those. Pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Here's a skydiving transition scene. I actually love the transition scenes. They're all walking to the plane. This is me taking off and doing a skydive mission. And those are fun too. You actually see them. If you meet the criteria, you'll see them jumping out of the plane. I think it's 50 knots above the airport, and keep it steady, keep the altitude, keep the, there's strict requirements here. And then you press the go light, and you see them actually position at the door and jump. And if you look down with your camera, you can actually see them. You don't see a chute open, but you do see them falling from the plane. It's like, wow, that is so cool. And you could do this all day long with missions if you want. Pretty cool stuff. All right, here's another mission sample here. I took a screenshot. Here's a helicopter crop spraying where you have to land. All these missions for spraying with a helicopter, you have to land on the refill truck before you start your crop dusting. This is the hardest part of crop dusting. The rest is easy if you've already used to helicopters. Flying at 50 knots just above the field, turn on your sprayer at the start of the field, turn off your sprayer at the end of the field, go up, turn around, come back down and pick up 50 knots before you start spraying again, and just keep going back and forth. I'll give you a hint here too. Use your tablet, and your tablet, zoom into the field, and your tablet will show you the areas you've already sprayed. Ooh, nice tip right there. I didn't realize that till I'd already done something like 10 spraying missions. It's like, how do I know what I've done? I finished, I thought I covered the whole field properly, like doing a lawnmower. I thought I did the whole field. It said I was still at 90%. It's like, what did I miss? Go to the corners and shoot a spray, or like, I didn't realize you can look at the map. I learned a lot of stuff. And we'll hear some more things too from Oz Nomad. He's going to comment in here also. And we'll do a bit of video on that, of his comments and his audio on that. But look at this. This is so much fun. And it's really challenging to get that thing sitting on top of that truck property so they can refill the tanks. Way cool. Here's an example of autopilot. Use autopilot for those long, straight and level flights. There's no problem doing that, right? Here I'm going, there's no mountains on this one. A lot of them I'm doing, there's mountains, but there's no mountains here. I'm cruising at 2,500. I've got my speed at 99. That should actually increase. Not sure why it's at 99, but I should give it some more power. Right now I'm not showing you the engine instruments on the MFD, but I'm following the magenta square boxes on autopilot. And I can be doing other things while this is in the corner of my eye. And as Oz Nomad says, he puts things on autopilot. It's going to be a 3-hour flight. He puts it on here, and he goes and does other things in his house. So you can do that too if you want. You notice in here, low fuel L. All the airplane missions start with left tank. Well, at least all the Skyhawk ones do. They start with the selector on the left tank. Here, I'll show you a picture over here of it. That's the way they start. And if you leave them like that, you will run out of fuel. Now, that is exactly the way it is in real life too. When we finish with an airplane like the Skyhawk, when we finish with that airplane, we're supposed to leave it in our checklist. We're supposed to leave it on left or right, but not both. Both on those high-wing Cessnas, like a high-wing Cessna, have a cross-feed between the two. Your fuel in the tanks will go down the same time to keep your plane balanced. A lot of those high-wing planes do that. They have a cross-feed. And so if you leave it on both, when the fuel person comes to put fuel in one of the tanks first, they fill it to the top, put the cap on. They get the ladder down, they take the hose down, they move over to the other wing. They go back up and they open it up and they go to put fuel in and it's already half full. It's like, what happened there? It's already half full because it cross-fed from the full one. Now you got 2 tanks at half filled. It's almost like a comedy routine. You could say, okay, I'm going to fill this tank now to full, put the cap on, go to the other tank, it's 3/4 now. It's like, what? Because it's cross-feeding every time. So pilots are supposed to leave it on left or leave it on right. When we start the plane on every mission, it's always starting on the left properly. It's like in real life. So don't forget, when you first start it up and you see your screens coming up and you're waiting or you're even listening to them talking about the mission, you can just scroll down to where you see the fuel on the floor, turn it to both. All right, and then take off on your mission. If you see this prompt, right away, look on the floor, put it on both. You don't have to put it on right and leave it there. Just put it on both. It'll drain from both. All right. It's a really good tip because this has caught a few people that have told me that I ran out of fuel for some reason. All right, cargo transport. Here's what the screen looks like when you accept a mission, you guys. Here I can see the price of it. I can see how much the mission criteria. And there are the things they're going to assess me on as I fly my plane. All right, it's ensure cargo integrity. Oh, sorry, this is behind me. Ensure cargo integrity. Airline procedures, in other words, proper procedures for takeoff and landing, and then respect the condition of the aircraft. In other words, you're not going to overspeed it, you're not going to dive bomb to the runway, and all of those things, you're going to take care of it. In real life, pilots do take care of their airplanes, even the rentals, because if there's a failure, it could be your life. And so there's a deep respect there for the condition of the airplane as we go along. This one here is 37 nautical miles, etc. A lot of times we accept the mission because we know what the price is, we know what the cargo is, and we just hit the fly button and away we go. Here's a recommended layout now. You can see here I'm about to start a mission. I'm sitting at parking by the looks of it. Yeah, because I'm about to announce taxi. So up here are the mission steps. They will prompt you. If they're not green, they need to be done. So the first thing is it says press enter to announce trial. You don't have to speak at any time, but you are learning phraseology. They are using proper phraseology. You will also hear the annoying tree and fife instead of 3 and 5. Tree and fifth? No, they don't say fifth. But anyway, you'll hear some of those things. Because in real life, some ATC will do that because it's clearer to understand it on the radio. The whole purpose of the radio is to clearly understand the communication. And that's why we use phonetics. That's why we will say the numbers sometimes without the TH. And honestly, you guys, in real life, as a pilot myself, there are some pilots who have learned English to be a pilot, but it's not their first language. They can't say third properly. So let them use whatever makes it clear, you know. And so don't be annoyed by that. It does happen. But you'll hear ATC air traffic controllers that will say, I've never said that before, you know. Instead of 5, I say fife. I've never said that. You'll hear that from people, but there are others who do. But anyway, press the enter. It'll go green, and I'll do a demo on that, and you'll see how that works. The next step is to press Control space bar to release the parking brakes, and it will give you a taxi ribbon, and then you taxi over to the hold short. This is great because it shows you your mission. Here's where we're going to take off from runway 29, and we're going to make a left turn. If you've got it on autopilot by this point, it'll follow the magenta line. All right, but at least gives you an idea, and you can zoom in or out with your mouse wheel and just see where you are as you go along. All right, meet the conditions and get the reward. Of course I picked the one I got an S in, right? Because there is one of these I have a C, just barely a C, because I messed it up. It's a helicopter one. All right, so you notice in here, airline procedures, I followed the boxes just to see what would happen, and they had me doing some crazy arrival. I came in over the field higher than circuit height. Then they sent me out that way to do a teardrop. Then they brought me back into the downwind, and then they had me cross over and back, and then land. It's like, what? So I followed it. And look at this, I got 100% for airline procedures, but I didn't agree with it. It does happen in some airports, especially if you are on a high altitude. A recent mission, I went from 7,000 feet. Well, I was at 10,000, but after I got past that mountain, I dropped to 7,000, just got over that mountaintop, and there's the runway down at almost sea level. 7,000 feet down. It has me go out and around while I'm losing altitude. come back towards downwind while I'm losing altitude, and I've got a lot to lose, about 6,000 maybe feet to lose. So it's good that they had us do all of that just to lose altitude on a descending turn, etc., and finally come in on the downwind final, base and then final, and it was good. All right, and that's how I got the 100%. I actually followed what seemed like a crazy procedure. All right, ensure cargo integrity. I did something in there. A sharp turn. I don't know. All right, aviator performance, 100%. It says it went perfectly. I don't like that word. It obviously didn't go perfectly, but their criteria, I didn't miss a radio call. I didn't miss a hold short. I didn't miss the things I'm supposed to do. All right, when I came into land, I went over to the hold short and stopped, did my radio call. You know, all the things that it prompted me to do, I did them. So it gave me 100%. On the taxiways, I stayed on the pavement. One of my missions, I was off the taxiway. Just barely off the taxiway, and up comes the error that says one wheel off the taxiway. It dinged me, and I got 85% instead of 100. So, you know, this is a good one. And gave me some experience, gave me an S. I don't know if this ever shows up anywhere else, but, you know, that's a good thing. I mean, what does it mean? Special? It means special, right? So there, I did one transport mission. Look at that. I got my first out of 5, so I can move up into the medium category. That was a light transport mission, just to give you an idea what that looks like. And this is faster than showing you the whole demo, you guys. I'm not going to put in an hour-and-a-half mission. I will give you some demonstration in a minute. And I'll give you parts of demonstrations or speed them up in the video here just so that you don't waste a bunch of time. But you can see what's happening here. All right, over here you can see the last part of this part 2 is talking about a company. As you can see, I built up some money. As a matter of fact, by the time I actually made the company, and I'll show you that video now, by the time I purchased the company, I had probably 90,000 built up in missions, because I was waiting until last night. I was waiting until the actual Twitch session to do a live buy a company and let's explore together what happened. I'll show you that video here of actually buying the company and what we talked about. I'll use the guidance from Oz Nomad, one of the Twitch followers and subscribers on my stream, who has been with me for 4 years as a subscriber and a paid subscriber. And he came on because he owns a lot of companies already. He's done a lot more hours on here than I have. So I got his take on suggestions when you buy a company and what you need to do. As you can see on this screen, eligible companies. At first, there are no eligible companies up here until you have enough money. All right. And I'm going to give you a threshold around 26,000 credits. All of a sudden, your flight seeing will pop up. And it will show that I have 3 of the 3 specializations are unlocked. And there is an aircraft available to purchase, which is super cheap. If you're going to pay $26,000 for this company, you're paying $1,000 to buy the company, and you're paying the rest to buy the actual aircraft and the insurance. But then you're going to really make some money, you guys. Now, I saw from the experienced career mode members on my Twitch stream, in my Discord server, they talked about, in the future, I probably wouldn't have bought the flight seeing company. In the future, I probably wouldn't have bought the skydive company. But I definitely bought the cargo transport, and I'm making lots of money. So I hear those things in my Discord server, lots of people talking about this stuff. And I decided to save up and go straight to transport instead of wasting money here and grinding away, wasting money here, grinding away, and finally getting here. And maybe you might want to do the same. Passenger transport. I want to do this next. So I'm going to build up some funds and go and have 2 companies. One's for passenger transport, Forder Air, and this one here, I think we called it Firewall Transport or Firewall Cargo, because that's my handle. All right, that was a suggestion on live stream, so that's what I used in here. And I'll probably stick with those 2 and eventually get my charter service. The VIP is a very well-paying one. But by the time I get to this, I will have these 2 running by virtual pilots. In other words, passive income. Other pilots can run my company planes, and I'll make money on that too while I'm focusing on my next certification or my next company. All right, and that's how this works, you guys. So it does take a lot of money to do this. $26,000 just to get your first company. Build up some more. Look at this. This company here is a $20,000 company. This is a $10,000 company. So, you know, you've got to have a lot just to buy the company, and then you got to be able to buy the plane afterwards. All right, so that's, and all of them can start out with a Skyhawk. They can do all three of those types of missions. And so, you know, it's a small plane. It struggles to get to 10,000 feet to drop people. And eventually you want to get into those turbine planes to do these things. High performance endorsement. All right, let's go to some demonstrations. I'm going to show you a sample mission selection and see how that goes and get you started. Probably fast forward it into the air of the cruise section and fast forward it into the arrival at the airport. And I'm going to give you a tip on fast and easy arrivals at airports without following the square brackets everywhere. All right, a proper way to approach an airport and land. I'll show you a demonstration here also to how to start the company. I'll have Oz Nomad commenting as we go along because he helped us a lot. And then I'll do a company mission. All right, and that'll finish this video, which will bring it into a bit of a length, but you need those demonstrations to be able to see what's happening. Let's go do some of those demos right now, and I'll come back and I'll finish up and I'll recap. So don't forget to come back after the demonstrations and come back and take a look at the recap and the summary. So we want to start off by taking a look at the different symbols. Let me just turn the volume down a little. So you can see I've already got some companies started, but let me just mention one thing first. We'll go through a couple of things here. As you look at the specializations and as you gain higher levels, you will see these all become green all the way across. You see further down I don't have green all the way across. That's great. I mean, you know, I'll get there. A good way to remember, like we showed in the briefing, is that when you click on one, you can see what you're missing. In this case, I'm missing 5 more passengers with a B or above. And agricultural, what am I missing in there? I'm actually doing some of those, but I'm doing those with rotorcraft so far. I'm missing a bunch of landings on soft runways or bush. I'm already qualified to use this aircraft, but I don't have all of these in fixed wing. If you look at rotorcraft with the same thing, my agricultural has them all. All right, whatever their criteria is, and I can take either one out. I'm qualified on both. So it just depends on what missions you've done and what you've decided to keep doing. I'm going to come back here for a second. I want to go and open a company and go to a mission. All right, now charter, aerial advertising, cargo, skydive, I've already done a few, but I want to just show you the parachute symbol for skydive. The cargo transport is a parcel. Aerial advertising is a banner in the sky. Look at the icon. VIP is charter service. Binoculars are search and rescue. All right. So I want to just point those out because when you go to missions, you have a choice. Once you have a company, I'm going to make a company first, but once you have a company, you have a choice of freelance or employee. You all started here with employee, but you didn't have a choice because you didn't own a company. So you started with employee right here like this. And then you looked at all the missions. You can see here's an agricultural mission where you get to spray the crops for 9,000 credits, almost 10,000 credits. Those are usually higher priced ones too. Whereas you look at this is moving an airplane for somebody, you're getting 1,970. That's all. Very simple mission, single star for difficulty. Here's a bunch of aerial advertising for 3,900, almost 4,000 for that, 4,000 for that. Every one of these you can pick up 4,000 at a time. Another transport, real cheap. So you can see all of these as employee, you're not getting very much money. It might seem like a lot because you did progress. There's a sightseeing. How much is the sightseeing? 1,470. But let's take a look at this. If you do own a company, it will show you the kinds of companies you own. I have an aerial advertising. I also have in this area, well, I can still do this one. Take a look at that price. For that transport, that parcel transport, that's all it is, 28,000 credits right there. So as soon as you own a company, you do have more overhead. You do have to purchase a plane, but you can really start raking it in. And that's why we want to move towards a company. Here's a parachute drop. 11,470 just for that. Here's a aerial advertising, pulling a banner, 35,000 right there. All right, so we'll come to that, but let me just go back here first, back to headquarters, and I'm going to go start a company. So I already own a few that I've built up, but I'm going to start a new one now. All right, so I'm going to create a company, just so you can see what that's like. I already own skydive, cargo, and aerial. And now I'm going to go do a flight seeing. I can't purchase these. There's something missing. I can do agricultural with helicopters. I also have my twin engine, so I could do this one now. I also have the scoop endorsement. I could do this one. But there's no aircraft available. And if you want to go and take a look, for instance, here, how much would it cost? Well, I'm only search and rescue. I'm only good at helicopters so far. I don't have my search and rescue for fixed wing. But so it's only going to give me the option to buy helicopters. I can buy this one. So search and rescue, I can't create the company because I'm missing one of the certifications. All right, come back here for a second. Search and rescue, 1 of 3 specializations for SAR. All right, so I can actually buy it. I'm surprised in there it said I could buy an aircraft. This one in here, 1 of 2 specializations, aircraft available to purchase, no. This is the one I'd like to get to. I'm already doing this one with scooping, aerial firefighting. I'm already doing this one, but I don't have this some certification here. And I do have the scoop endorsement, but I'm not sure what I'm missing there, and I'll have to go find out. But you know, it just depends on what you've done so far. It could be a level, it could be a certification or an endorsement. So these ones are not available. They're pending until I get more qualifications. Let's look down the list here. These ones are all red. Medevac, aerial construction, they're all red. So let's look at the ones we can do at this moment with the money that I have. I can do flight seeing. 3 of 3 specializations are good, and there is an aircraft available, and the price is right. So let's go in there and show you what's involved. You'll notice it shows you mission hotspots. This is a hint. You want more missions, pick the areas where those missions are. All right, spring, summer, we've got Alaska, Australia, and way up here. Fall, Alaska's still there. South America, we've got, looks like somewhere, maybe Switzerland or something. And then winter, if you like winter operations, Greenland, look at that. But, and then up here looks like Venezuela. So, you know, you can just pick where you want to have your business. You can put your business anywhere, but these can determine how often you'll see missions pop up. All right, this might be great flying down here in the nice warm weather. Let's look at spring again. Well, spring's right in the middle here. That's even better. Here in Africa, up here. Summer, Alaska up here. Fall. None of them are actually in North America at all. And then winter flying here in Greenland. So we could do that, flight seeing in Greenland. I think we'd like this one here. So we'll try this one down here, probably Venezuela, whatever it is. So that's what we would like. So I'm going to say create a company, flight seeing. Remember, it's $1,000 for the company plus $170,000 for a small plane. Or I could go for $1,900,000 to get an Airbus. Well, I don't have $1,900,000. I'm going to certainly go for that one. Let's create the company. Purchase for $1,000, takes the $1,000 out first. Type the name here. Now this is for flight seeing. So I'm going to put Forder Flight Seeing. Why not? Oops. Seeing. It's got a ring to it. There we go. Forder Flight Seeing. All right, I meet all the criteria. Confirm that. Let's just step it through, and then we'll go on a mission. We'll do a flight seeing mission. All right. So now I'm going to go to all companies because I haven't bought a plane yet. I've made a company. There's skydivers. There's Forder. This one's flyers. This is aerial advertising, flyers. This is freight. This is my transport company. And here's my new one, which will not show any income or expenses because I have no capital yet, or no capital assets. So I'm going to say manage company, fleet, overview, density areas. Well, let's just have a look at this. And remember, we were looking at this already. I think it was summer. Oh, maybe it was fall. Maybe it was winter. We were picking down here. Anywhere you want. I mean, why not Australia too? Lots of missions down there. I don't have any aircraft down in this area, but I also don't have any here either. So yeah, maybe this one. All right, so let's go back to fleet. Buy an aircraft. I don't have any. Pretty simple. Brand new, we're talking about millions. All right, so we're going to go used. And eventually we can go to marketplace too and see what's there. But here we go with used airplanes. I'm going to go with the cheapest ones they got. Typically over here, $485,000. That's not very cheap. This one, $286 is doable. G1000. But maybe there's something a little smaller. $226. All right, $226, $286. Okay, $226, getting lower. These little guys here, they're smaller, they bounce around a lot more, but 231, 170, look at this. 170, and it shows green, which means it probably doesn't need maintenance. Oh, I'm sorry, to maintain. Yep, this one's good. This one's to maintain, to maintain. So all of these, just as an example, let's say I went with the cheapest one I could find here. We can go back. Went the cheapest one. Look at all the things that have to be maintained, and it's going to take 124,000 to maintain it. Ooh, so that's quite a lot. All right, but if we go back and just start with something like this. Here, this one's good. 327 takes a big chunk out. Is it really worth it? 170 here plus 134, that's about 300,000. So you're getting about the same thing once you've finished doing all the maintenance. So, let's go here then. All right, let's try this guy. Well, it says to maintain. This one's good at 485. I don't have enough. So amazing, right? How this works. It's almost like in real life. It's like, maybe I'll go with a helicopter, right? And those right now are kind of bouncing around and they don't get customer satisfaction. What do we got here? 323, 209. That's a great one for showing people around. I don't have enough money. This is a nice, fast 6-seater. It's great. This one's in good shape at 632,000. I can't afford this stuff. How much was this one be to maintain? Another 245. I'm almost out of my league. There's not much I can get here. I'm going to have to go back over here, go with this baby, and add the maintenance on. That's pretty much what I have to do. 327, I could squeeze this one in. It's in good condition. There is still something to maintain here for 74,000. All right, I'm going to squeeze this one in because it's bigger. And the reason I say that, you guys, oh, it's not bigger. Just a minute, 170. I think it went back to the start. 170. Yeah, it's still the X-Cub. It's still a small plane. I'd rather get a Skyhawk. 327. 409. I'd rather get, oh, that's an X-Cub too. I'm not looking at my planes here. I'd rather get a Skyhawk. 286. 409. 286 to maintain. And how much to maintain? Another 33,000. So 286, 30. See, most of them are all pretty much the same. All right, I want to go with the Skyhawk. It's more comfortable than the smaller plane. I'm going to have to fix it once I get it. Let's go with that. I'm going to buy the cheapest basic insurance. I know everybody wants to go to the salvage for 100%. If I lose this airplane, this company can't make any money. All right, so there's no salvage coverage, but it's the cheapest, 570 as opposed to 13,000 per flight hour. When I had my very first plane in my very first company, I gave it full insurance because if I lost it, I couldn't afford to make enough money to buy another one for a long time. So I did this for my very first plane. Then I did all of this for every plane afterwards. I could even use one of my other planes if I had to. So, and eventually you'll buy a second plane. So cheapest insurance, we're good. The second-hand market, now it wants to know, where do you want it? All right, delivery. Where do you want it? I could put it where my other things are, but remember, the hot spots for this kind of mission was somewhere around here. I don't have a plane here yet. So let's go here. It looks like Venezuela, right? Or somewhere around here. Maybe this is really good tourist country around here. So, not sure, but somewhere around here. And it doesn't matter because you're going to... Can I even pick that? Oh, I can't pick any of those anyway. All right, can I pick that? Oh, all right, so it's not letting me pick those. I wonder why. None of those, because I don't have the right time of year, maybe? I was actually surprised at that. Something over here? Flight seeing over here? No, I can't select it. I can double click all I want. I cannot select it. So delivery, where do I want it? Well, I'm actually surprised at that because I thought I could put it where I need it. Oh, there's some highlighted ones at Miami. Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Have some highlighted ones. Up here where I'm already working, these are all highlighted. Flight seeing over here in Sedona. Sedona is a great place for flight seeing. Phoenix Sky Harbor. Yeah, that's down. Yeah, I guess Sedona. We'll try that then. Huh, very surprised. And summary, okay, basic insurance. You're billed every 24 hours for insurance. And I can take passengers, G1000. There's how much money the whole thing's going to cost me. 286 out of 409. Sold. I think I pushed OK. There we go. And now I own a company. And now it's being delivered to Sedona. KSEZ. I'm going to write that down. I'm sure I can just find it on the map. Sedona. Beautiful. That's a nice place. And I did a mission there already in a helicopter for some reason, so it's actually great for sightseeing. Crew is off for now. I'm just going to fly it myself. Let's go have a look at this thing. Manage it. Needs that maintenance we talked about. It says mandatory in 1 hour. So hydraulic system, maintain, let's see. Might as well fix it all up and get her rolling. Pay the whole amount. Get ourselves green. Oops, didn't do the engine. Why not? Huh? That's a surprise. Alright, so we're down to 74,000. That one mission will cover that easily. Watch what happens. And if I ever had to, I could sell it for scrap. Density area. So this is what I'm surprised at. I ended up getting one up here that doesn't have any density area at all. So at Florida. Oh, down here, Florida. So I might have to transfer my aircraft now to be able to go to the density areas. Crazy. I'm surprised I couldn't pick that. All right, so now let's go back. Let's go to missions. Now that I own an aircraft for doing flight seeing, and I'm going to go to the flight seeing area. Well, there's Sedona right there. There's my aircraft. It's pointing to where my aircraft is and then says, okay, here's where you got a bunch of missions. So hold on a sec. I'm going to go back around to where my aircraft is and see if there's anything at all. And flight seeing is this. All right, flight seeing is the camera. How much can I get for that? 18,000, is that it? I might have to go do a transport flight just to build more money. Let's come around here to Sedona, down here. We got stuff in here. I got an aircraft. And we've got, there's a flight seeing for 17,000. It'll be more than that with all the bonuses. And I think it's the only flight seeing. Wow. See, it's not a density area. Now I can do other things. Look at this, 23,000. 37,000, but I'll have to get an aircraft. Let's just see what that's about. If I go like this and see what that's about, looks like a good paying job, but you're going to pay 20,000 to move an aircraft there, to move a transport aircraft there, which I think is over in Canada near Toronto. So that's why it costs so much. I've done many of these types of missions where it's only 1,000 or 2,000 credits only to move the aircraft. This one's way too costly. I'm not going to make that much back. Well, I think I'm making 37,000. I'm going to pay 20,000 just to get it. So I'm not doing that one. So I'll stick with the flight seeing. It's my new company with my new airplane. Let's do that. All right, because the aircraft is nearby, I'm going to try this one right here. It's going to move the aircraft from this airport down to this one down here. All right, so we're going to view the briefing. There would be a cost, probably 700 credits, that's all, to bring that over. Oh, 110 credits, not far away. You can see here the plan. We're taking off, doing a left turn out. We're doing a downwind is what it is really, and we're climbing as we go out. So we're above circuit height here. And we're heading out to Sun City Lake West Golf Course, over to Varney Park, and back to Sycamore Grove Park. For sightseeing, wait till you see what happens if you haven't done one of these before, but that's the plan. Always have a look and see what's happening. You can also move over to here and just see where we are and what the airport looks like. Now we're on a real airport. Okay. This little tiny airport here, and it did say Glendale. Oh, that's where we are. Okay. And we're going to go out here somewhere. There's Sky Ranch there. Sky Ranch Airport, but there's a golf course around here. All right, we're going to go there. That's our plan. We're going to move an aircraft for 110. This is definitely a better airport to go to. Accept the mission. Grab my airplane. Flight seeing with my new company. Let's do it. All right, going to check fuel again. Don't forget this because you could end up being stuck without enough fuel. I got plenty right there. Okay, that's the airplane that I used the first time when I had troubles, and I used that much fuel already just trying to take off and taxi. All right, everything looks good. Fly, and let's do it. Now as they talk to us, I am going to turn it up so we can hear what they say. I'll try to turn down again when the music comes. There we go. Now again, you can skip your walk around and just go, and it will not give you a hit for that. It's the only one you skip, but you should walk up and get used to taking covers off and stuff like that. But let's do an Alt-N. I'm going to bring my cursor over and right click it. I'm going to do an Alt-N just to show you. Alt-N skips right to load up the plane. Remember, it's a 2-door plane. You got to open your door, and you probably don't even get in yet. Typically, when I take passengers in a 172 for real,
Captain,
I don't even
you
get in
ready?
yet.
Sure feels like the perfect day for a tour, right?
Perfect day for a tour, right?
For
I
today's
agree.
scenic flight, you're soaring over Sun City with Ryan and his grandmother.
Sun City, let's do it.
Have your passengers fastened their seatbelts?
I don't know. I'll
Then
have
you're ready
ask.
to depart.
Have you guys fastened
Captain,
your
make this
seatbelts?
moment shine.
Fasten your seatbelts. Make this moment shine. Let me just get that screen up. I'm going to pop out my screens just so they're in front of my face. And we're ready to roll. Press enter to request taxi clearance. And look at that Bronco up ahead. That's cool.
Glendale Ground, Cessna Charlie. Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie ready to taxi north departure with Yankee.
North departure. Got
Cessna
the ATIS.
Charlie, Foxtrot, Kilo Uniform Charlie taxi to and hold short of runway 19er using taxiway Bravo Alpha. Contact tower on 121. 0 when ready.
Runway 19er. Well, first thing I should do is acknowledge. So I'm just going to make sure I'm on this screen. Press enter. Press enter. There we go. And there's
Taxi
my hold
to
short.
and hold short runway 19er using taxiway Bravo Alpha Cessna Kilo Uniform Charlie.
You don't really need little nav map, you guys, because some of you can't use it. But I just wanted to see what 19 is. So we're taxiing over here.
Just a heads up, I'm not used to flying,
Uh-oh.
so I hope you'll fly as smooth as possible.
I will.
I'm Ryan, by the way.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey there, my name's Jennifer.
Hey, there, Jennifer.
Very happy to fly with you.
Me, very happy to
I'm
take
sure
you.
it's going to be amazing.
It will.
You're going to make our day.
Of course. Especially if we have an emergency. That'll make your day. So they don't hear us, you guys. I'm just having fun. But you know, we're going to go down here and we're going to hold short right there. And we're coming out on 19. Now you can take off on the dotted line here. You can take off on what's called the chevrons. You can take off, but you don't land on them. When you come into land, when we're finished, we're going to land after the chevrons, right about here. All right. There's an annoying pop-up here for the... But anyway, that's giving you an idea what's going to happen. I'll show you that when we get there. I got to release the parking brake. Well, you can do it manually, but we can just do Control Spacebar and stop at the hold short. It should show me my taxi direction if you're not sure, but we already learned follow the yellow lines. We're heading down the same direction we're headed, and we can see the hold short up there in the distance. All right, I'm just going to turn that down a bit while I rev the engine, just so that it's not too annoying and you can still hear me. All right, little bit of power. Very first thing you do, everybody, is check your brakes. Standard procedure. Go a little bit forward, touch both your brakes. That's a standard procedure. Make sure you have brakes for when you land. Now while we're in the aircraft, for some reason it won't let me go. Maybe I've got brakes on. Oh, there we go. While you're in the aircraft, you're looking to see that your heading indicator's turning. Let's come back to this way. Heading indicator's turning. And we're also seeing that the ball, the anvil ball right here is going left or right as we turn, which is cool. Don't go too fast. I'm just giving it a shot of gas and then pulling it back to idle and coasting. And you might do this just so you can see better. All right, shot of gas, back to idle. Coast for a while. If you go too fast, you'll get dinged on that. It'll affect your performance and your score. A little bit of gas, back again. Some people put a little bit of gas on and leave it, but it will progressively get faster and faster until you're speeding. That's what it looks like from outside. And we're just heading down to the hold short. You can see they have us going through a taxiway in the middle here. You could go all the way down to the end. It's still proper procedure. You don't have to do this, but in real life, if they tell you to turn here at this taxiway, you have to turn at this taxiway. We're not following the rules precisely here. There we go. I'm going a little bit fast, but not too fast yet. Now, if you really wanted to be realistic, you could look at the taxiway numbers and make sure we're doing it the way they said. You'd have to look at the airport diagram. You can do that on your tablet. While we're taxiing here, I'll show you that. Here's your tablet. Bring my cursor over to the screen and hit the tablet. There we go. That's the one that's over here on the right, but now I've got it in front of my face. Hit this to follow your airplane, and you can even zoom in to see where you are. And you can actually see there's our flight plan. You can leave that up if you want. Oops, I better watch where I'm going. Leave that up if you want, or you can put it back where it belongs. Or you can even pop it out to another screen. A little bit of power. We're doing a mission in our own aircraft that pays a lot more than we did as an employee. Remember, as an employee, you don't have to pay the transfer fee to move an aircraft, and you don't have to pay the insurance, and you don't have to buy the airplane. That's why they don't pay you much, just like in real life. But here you own your own business now. You're going to take care of your own airplane. You're going to treat it nicely so it doesn't cost you in repairs. And here we go. It's getting up to be a little bit too fast. It should be at a running speed, so I'm just going to touch the brakes, make sure I don't exceed it. And you can even see the moving blue dot on the tablet is your airplane. And I'm coming over here, a little bit of right rudder, and I'm coming to a stop right about there. And stop. Beautiful. Give you full volume here for a second. I'm going to call to request takeoff at the hold short. You notice we're holding short before the runway. When we leave, we're going to hold short after the runway when we come back. All right, request takeoff clearance. Because there's a tower here, we have to do it this way. If you didn't have a tower, you just announce what you're doing and keep going.
Glendale Tower, Cessna Charlie. Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie ready at runway 19er north departure.
We taxied here,
Cessna Charlie
through here.
Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie
Here.
altimeter 29er. 2 north departure approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 19er.
Beautiful. 29er, which is what we've got on our barometer. We have to acknowledge that we've been cleared for takeoff. And then we
Clear
can
for
go.
takeoff runway 19er Cessna Kilo Uniform Charlie.
We're going to be doing a right turnout. No, sorry, we're going back this way. Left turnout, left downwind, and head off. All right, and you'll see.
As you know, I'm really anxious about this flight, Captain.
Well, I'm glad you're aboard. Relax and enjoy the flight. A little bit of power to get going. We have a long asphalt runway, so we don't have to worry about flaps. You only need flaps on a small plane like this if you are doing a short field takeoff. If you're below 2,000 or so. See the chevron, the arrows? You're allowed to take off on those. You're just not allowed to land on them. And they're typically there because you have an obstacle behind us. And so it gives you obstacle clearance. Let's just have a quick look here behind us. Yeah, buildings, yeah. Yeah, there's something behind there. All right, we're going to take off from here. It says up in the upper corner, take off runway 19. You check the heading indicator, 193. Yep, that's pretty much 19. We're on the right direction. Sometimes you have to go down to the end and turn around. I'm going to turn that down a bit now. I should have turned it down before I started to move, because then sometimes you make a mistake while you're trying to take off. I'm going to get to 55 and rotate. 55 is the rotate speed. Right there, starting to pull back on the yoke just a little bit of pressure. Nice smooth takeoff like that. And I'm going to nail 74 knots.
Only one way to find out. Hey, can't believe we're flying.
We're flying. Not so bad, is it? Right? Not so bad. I want 74. 74 hard. Find 74 and trim it. Right about there. Should have been trimmed already for takeoff, but lower the nose a little bit, pick up some more.
Cessna Kilo Uniform Charlie continue for north departure.
Continue for north departure. Always acknowledge anything they say to you. Put my cursor back here. Press enter. Beautiful. Continue for north
Glendale
departure.
Tower, Cessna Charlie. Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie continue for north departure.
Remember, it's a left turnout. Now take a look here. Oh, Sun City's to the right. But look at this, you guys. There's our flight path. Remember, we're going to do a left circuit to get out of here. Nice gentle turn. passengers don't wonder what's going on. If you do it too sharp, your passengers will complain. Do a coordinated turn here, a little bit of left rudder. We've got to go up to circuit height first. We can't just exit stage right. We've got to use proper airline procedures or runway procedures. Now I will say, in all of the all of the missions that I do, you don't have to follow these procedures. It's standard procedure. Left turns are standard procedure at airports, but you could do a right turnout, do a long
Looks
takeoff.
like you've got the best office view in the world, Captain. And I'd love to be in your shoes for some time.
Well, it took a lot of money and a lot of time, you guys, but yeah, you can be in my shoes. How's that for attitude, right? You wouldn't say that to customers, right? You say, yeah, you could be if you had enough money. It's true, isn't it? And you can see I'm going to fly to my destination now, like this. Nice and gentle, everything's cool. I don't have to go any higher. It's going to be a flight seeing, so I can't go high. I mean, people want to see stuff, right? And we're just going to keep our customers happy. Look how easy this is. Now, you can toggle this off on my Alpha yoke, my top white button. If I click it, turns everything off. It's like, where do I go now? So for beginners, do this. And even when you're experienced, where exactly am I going? Why not? You know, you don't have to be inside these square brackets, but it gives you an idea. When we get there, we're going to slow down anyway.
Captain,
You notice that
it must be great seeing the sunset from up here.
I'm at 94, 95 knots. I'm not going to go much faster than that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull back a bit of power. I'm also going to pull back some mixture and look at my RPMs because I'm at 3,000. I'm at 3,000 feet, so I got a little mixture put in there. Now I'm going to slow it down to flap speed area. They're going to actually say, let me get there first. Okay, sorry, let me get there first. When I get to the area, I'm trying to keep things gentle for the passengers so I can get a good score. When I get to the area, I'm going to circle the area or do whatever the flight plan shows me at a slow speed. It'll say up in the upper right corner what that speed should be and what the altitude should be and the distance from the target. The target is the town, the golf course, or whatever it is they're going to take pictures of.
What's going on, Jennifer? You've been pretty quiet.
Oh, good. She's
Just
not
enjoying
complaining about
every
the flight.
moment. It's amazing.
She's enjoying every moment.
Totally.
It's amazing. Now you notice I'm already preparing for a slow flight, meaning I'm going to let them take pictures without zooming right by. Very first time I did a mission as an employee, many hours ago, I would just do the circle and go back, and the customer sat was very low. Because, and I'm laughing because she was complaining left and right. Yeah, I'm getting a kink in my neck trying to see everything so quickly. Can you slow down? So, you know, there's all kinds of comments, which I won't try to trigger right now, but I'm just going to show you how to do the mission. So
I
I'm
feel
going
like
to...
a real adventure with a seat belt, but still.
All right, Professor. Grab your hat and your travel book.
Grab your hat and your travel book. You're in Arizona now. I'm already almost at the speed I need to be, which makes it easier. I don't have to do a quick deceleration. I don't have to break any speed rules or any steep turns or anything like that. Sun City West Lakes West Golf Course. There it is. I see it. It's coming. As soon as you get there, it'll show you their circular or whatever flight plan there is. Just follow it. It might be hard at first because there's a bunch of square brackets in a circle.
Uniform Charlie leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
So the tower's calling and saying I'm out of their control zone. Don't forget to acknowledge that too. Acknowledge every single
Glendale
call.
Tower Cessna Charlie. Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie frequency
There it
change.
is. I see it. Sun City Lakes West Gulf CRS.
See? And we're slow enough that they are not complaining. They're not saying, whoa, wait a second, it's going right by our eyes. Whatever they might complain about, I've got this. Now you notice you could go to the left or you could go to the right. I think both of them are sitting on the right seat. Doesn't matter in this sim. But in real life, if they're both, you know, passengers on my right and the person behind them's on the right, I'm going to let them see as I turn. I'm going to go to the left and then I'm going to let them see it. 2282 knots. I'm already there. I just have to turn. All right, and once I get into this turn, you're going to see that I'm going to dip my right wing and they'll get the best view. All right, so I'm going to turn into it, but now I'm going to dip my right wing. That's why I always go to the left. Even if you have one passenger, they're in the right seat looking out their right window. This is what I want. And I'm just going to keep this distance, and it's good to use these guides. Now I'm down to 69 knots. I'm just going to get a little bit of power, a little bit of trim, stay around this altitude. They want us around here. I think it's 2200. I'm a bit low.
You really can see every detail.
You really can, out that way. Look over that way. I gave you the best view. Go look that way. 82 knots, good. I'm still there. 2200, still there. I'm doing everything right. That bottom one will turn green once I finish this circuit. I got one other place to go to, remember? There's 2 stops along the way. But this is how you do a flight seeing, you guys. There's what it looks like. They're going around that center part.
Amazing.
The golf
I heard
course.
it was going to be memorable.
It is.
Look, they don't say it's going to be memorable if you're doing a bad job. I'm making it memorable. I'm giving them a nice gentle turn. I'm giving them the best view. I'm staying at the right speed. This should be a good score. Make you some money, give you a better reputation. You want to do this at first when you're building up stuff, especially your own company like I am now. This is my first flight with my own aircraft with my new company. Like that, and now it says, let's go here. We're good. Let's go this way. That's it for that one. We're on to the next one. Fly to Varney Park. Let's do it. You can give it more power now, especially if you need to climb. Oh, it's not far away. I'll take it easy. Why speed up and then have to slow down? Let's just do this. Going 78 knots. I'm already set up for this sort of thing. Here we go. Not far away. If you look at your PFD, you'll notice that it does have the flight plan on there, but it doesn't look like it's the same one right now. But in a lot of missions, you can follow that flight plan and put on your autopilot. But I found that flight seeing, they want you manually handling it, because even the autopilot might do a 30-degree bank to get around to that magenta line, and it might wreck your, what's going on. All right, they want me probably around the same, probably around 2200. I'm going to just drop the nose down a bit without gaining too much speed. And there we go, yeah. Got to come down a bit. See, altitude 2200. So I'm at 2480. I just pulled my power completely. I'll give them the same treatment, you guys. It doesn't have to be a sharp turn into that first window, but I do want to give them that same right wing down and give them the nice view. Give it nice and gentle. Remember, you don't have to go directly through the hoops, as long as it's gentle and as long as you're giving them that distance. Look, distance looks good, altitude looks good. I'm at 2200 now. Try to maintain that. Speeds below 82 knots. If you go faster than 82, they'll complain. If you have turbulence, they'll complain, which you can't help. I'm just going to trim up a little bit, getting below 2200. A little bit more power, pull up a bit. And I give them a nice view. There we go. Looking good. Everything's in the green, including my instruments. Remember, don't turn too sharp. If you're missing a hoop, let it go outside and gently bring it back in.
Place. I'm gonna get a legendary photo album. Trust me.
A legendary photo album. I like the dramatic music, don't you? Oh, it's so dramatic. There's their view down there. You're supposed to be looking to the right. He's always looking to me when I do that. There we go. Look over to your right. You're missing it. Get your camera out. And then we just have to go back and land. Easy enough, isn't it? I know this takes a lot of time in the video today,
You told
but
us it would be an amazing experience. and
good
you
to
were
see
right.
it. We made a company. We took the airplane out. We're making more money than we would as an employee. Beautiful. Everything's in the green. Speed's below 82. I'm at 2140. If you're within 100 feet, it'll stay in the green. I'm a bit below. I'm about 60 knots below, but that's okay. Sorry, 60 feet below. So now I'm at 2160. That's good.
I'm talking, but I'm at a loss for words.
Keep it green and you'll have some good scores, you guys. Looking great. Beautiful. Now where does it want us to go? Find the numbers. All right, fly to Sycamore Grove Park. And it says it's over that away. Back that away. Let's just have a quick look from behind us. Yep, there it is. So, gentle turns though. It looks like we'd have to crank it around. I'm going to give it power. And I'm just still doing that gentle turn. You resist the urge to crank it around. Oops, getting a bit too far. might affect the customer satisfaction. And you can straighten it out once you get there. It's over that away. See? There we go. And a little bit higher, we're going to come in at circuit height. Don't, not too sharp. And you'll see them come up. It's easy enough. I mean, they show you the way, right? And there's where we're headed. And thankfully, the airport's not too far away. Gently come back. Beautiful.
I thought I'd be dizzy up here, but I'm feeling right at home.
Well, sure you should. You've got an experienced flyer at the controls, you know? That's not what you say, you guys. I just have fun with these missions. Because, you know, if they could hear what you say, they probably would have a remark. And you know you're in trouble when you start talking to the computer. Of course you're okay. And it's not far away, is it? So remember, it's still going to be, they might even want us to overfly the airport. You could. You could also do a left downwind, and this is where a pilot background does come in handy, like I have. I don't have to follow the arrows. I can do, even if you're in trouble, a flyover directly over the airport and a left downwind to final.
Are you okay?
Would work fine.
Not too scared?
Not at all.
Not at
I'm
all.
too impressed to be scared.
Yeah, he's impressed. You don't get to hear that too often, you guys. If you looked at Little Nav Map, just briefly, because don't lose your focus, there's the airport 10 or 01 is the runway on a left downwind, so we're probably okay. Yep, there's the left downwind right there. Oh, are we supposed to look at this? Oh, Grove Park. Oh, this is another one? Oh, okay. 2100. Oh, I thought we were done. I thought that was the airport. Okay, maybe not. We're not done. Altitude of 2100. Okay. It'll come gently, not too sharp. Here we go. Stay within 0.4. Got it. Not too sharp. I might even have to cut through them, but I'm not going to keep it sharp. Nice and gentle, and then now we'll start our gentle to the right. There we go. 2100 for this one. Oops, I'm going to drop below that. Little power, little nose up. Make sure I stay above 2000. I want to stay within 100 feet of my target. I'm at 2060 now. There we go. And I'm a little bit slow. I'm going to leave the power up and level off. Beautiful. What do you think of that view? I didn't realize it was 3. I thought there was 2 places we were going. So if they start saying, what's going on? Didn't happen before, then you're in trouble. It will happen. Everybody has to experience it once. What's going on? I'm trying to fly the plane. Let me focus. It's not that hard once you get the hang of it, you guys. Gentle moves, trim it. I got it trimmed right now. I'm not putting any pressure on the yoke at all. If I were showing you my hands right now, I could actually pull them off the yoke and show you. And fly around Sycamore Grove Park. That's where we are. And then I guess we're going back. Boy, 3 different sightseeings. Boy, that didn't look like the price was for 3. But you know, it happens in real life. I've taken friends. I don't get hired. I'm just a recreational pilot in real life, but I take friends. And they say, how about over here? Can we go? Sure, let's go over there. Yeah, make them happy. What the heck? They don't get to do this too often. So here we got 3 places, and then we can head back to the airport. There we go. It says Alt-N to skip to landing. Nope, don't want to do that. And it does have a final over here. Wow, is final that close? Way back there. All right.
Glendale Tower Cessna Charlie.
Let me show you what's happening.
Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie is 3 miles northeast 2,000 feet with Yankee to land.
Right here. And final is right there. Oh, we'll find out what runway.
Cessna Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie Glendale Tower. Altimeter 29er. 902 fly straight in runway 19er.
19er. Okay, straight in 19er. So we could just stay like this and go find final. Like that. And I'll show you what that means. I'm going to give it a little bit of power here. We're getting low on speed. Final's over that way. I'm going to give it a little altitude here, but you don't have to go over to the squares, you guys. That'll tighten up
better now. I'm
your base.
almost enjoying the ride.
Well, I hope so.
It wasn't a big deal after
It
all.
wasn't a big deal after all, you know? It was fun. Don't be scared. I'm coming across on a left base and going in on final for 1-9. That's what's happening right there. Acknowledge pattern entry. I don't know what she said, but I'm going this way.
Make straight in runway 19er.
Straight in
Cessna,
1-9er.
Kilo
Okay, good.
Uniform
That is
Charlie.
actually realistic, you guys. That is realistic. She's giving me a straight in.
Kilo uniform, Charlie wind calm, cleared to
I'm-
land runway 19er.
I'm cleared to land, runway 19er. Don't forget to acknowledge.
Cleared to land runway 19er Cessna, Kilo Uniform Charlie.
I've got mixture full rich. Let's just have a look here. Yeah, like that. Okay. You can see the
I
runway
realize
from
how
here.
small
We are from up here. And
How
glad
small
you're
we
the
are.
pilot, not me.
We are in the flap range, so I'm going to give it first flap. I'm aiming for 65 knots, which I'm already at with only one flap. I'm going to give it a second flap because I'm going to be pointing the nose down. I want to stay at 65 knots. There we are, putting the nose down. I'm staying at 65. Don't want to go any faster than that. Pulled some power so I don't overfly the runway, but don't forget there's chevrons. I cannot land at the start. So make sure you've got enough power. I would pull the nose up a little more, like that. I thought didn't I already say I was on final? Oh, they cleared to land, right? I replied. Now I'm a little crooked, if you looked at that like this. And I'm just going to go like that. 62 knots, okay, I could be up to 65. Like that. Don't forget, I'm aiming past the chevrons. Land on runway 19, 19er. You don't want to land on the chevrons. I don't know if they'll know that in the missions, but that's not in real life. You don't land on them. I'm at 65 knots, 2 flap. That's perfect landing. Not always perfect, but it is this time. So you adjust as you go along. And my throttle is at idle. I've got lots of runway after that too, so I don't really have to worry. Even if I float for a bit before I can put her down, I've got lots of runway ahead of me. There we go. I'm at 70 knots by the time I got here. Pulling the nose up now and looking at the horizon. Once the numbers are gone, you guys, look at the horizon. Pull the nose up to the horizon. Let it just fall out of the sky. Like that. Let the nose fall by itself. Oops, I saw a rocking there, so I'll lose a few percentages on that landing.
Acknowledge last transmission.
Acknowledge last transmission. What did they say? I did acknowledge. Oh, my cursor wasn't there. It was on the map. Oof.
Cessna Kilo uniform, Charlie turn next taxiway.
Yep, I might get dinged for a transmission. So here's something to learn from this too, is you can go as fast as you want on the runway for taxiing, but don't forget once you're off the runway to keep it slow. I did press enter for the acknowledge and my cursor was off this screen. They got to fix that. That was a problem back in 2020 in that sim. So I did press enter, which I wanted it to act on this screen. I've got lots of screens here in my studio, and it said, "Did you hear my last transmission?" So I'm not sure that they got my
Cessna Kilo
acknowledgement.
uniform, Charlie exit runway when able.
When able, when it's safe to do so. And we'll stop after the hold short. You got to get off the runway. So many
Cessna
people.
Kilo uniform, Charlie contact ground on 118.
Now I acknowledge that. Ground on 118. Oh, that worked.
Going to 118. 0 Cessna, Kilo Uniform Charlie.
It gave me clearance already when I hadn't even stopped yet. And when you stop, it's typical to bring your flaps up, transponder,
Glendale
all the rest
Ground,
of it.
Cessna Charlie.
Flaps are up.
Foxtrot Kilo Uniform Charlie request taxi to parking.
Almost done the mission. Let's hope they're happy.
Cessna Charlie. Foxtrot. Kilo Uniform Charlie taxi to
Back
General
to reality,
Aviation.
folks.
Parking using taxiway
Hey,
Alpha
did you
Bravo.
enjoy Ryan? Ready to book another one?
That's very common, you guys.
Totally
That
doing it again.
passengers talk
Aviation
while you're
parking
listening to
using
your
taxiway
clearances.
Alpha Bravo
So you got to
Cessna,
really focus.
Kilo Uniform Charlie.
A little bit of power. Get going. Brakes are on or something. I got full right rudder, but I must have a brake on. A little bit of power. There we go. So that's common. Actually, it's very realistic, right? Passengers start talking, over talking while you're trying to listen for your clearance. If it's not clear in real life, you would just say, "Please say again," to the tower. And they know you probably had a distraction, right? Also, the friends that do fly with me a lot, they know the symbol. I put my finger up, my index finger. I put that up when I want them to be quiet, because that means that I'm listening to something from the tower, right? So a lot of times I'll just put my finger, my index finger, you guys, I'll put my index finger up while I'm talking, and they know enough not to talk yet. But strangers don't know that, right? Nice gentle pace. I'm sure it's like a maximum fast walk or a slow running pace, right? You don't have to be right on the yellow line, but the general rule is to try and keep it right down the middle of your PFD in this airplane. And if it gets too fast, touch your brakes and slow down a bit. They'll ding you for that too. Trying to do everything to show you how to do it properly. I think I might have one infraction on the radio call. I think that's the only thing they can ding me on this one. And not all missions are like that, you guys. I've had some missions that are just disastrous. I had a helicopter that went out of control in a cornfield while I was spraying the cornfield. It just went spinning out of control and crashed in the cornfield. And my reputation dropped from an S down to a B. Hard to take. And that means less opportunities when you have a bad reputation. I'm going a little fast, so I touched my brakes, my toe brakes. I know I can see where the parking stand is, but I'm trying to be patient to get there without overspeeding. There are some airports in real life where they don't have a speed limit on the taxiways. You'll see them moving pretty fast, but it does get dangerous, you guys. Well, this should be good, but you can see how long a mission takes. I did the whole thing. I think when I do insert this into the YouTube video, I'm going to go fast through these parts when I'm not talking, right? I'll just quickly go fast. Like right now, I'll probably speed it up for you. Not sim speed up, I don't do that. I'll speed up the video. Oops, went a bit too fast. It's hard to hold back, everybody. You just want to get there. You know you got a plane that can go a lot faster. But this is for safety reasons. If you had an instructor with you in the plane, they'd be saying, easy now, easy now. Remember, it's a tricycle plane. You've seen a kid's tricycle flip over because they're going too fast or turning too sharply. That can happen here. That's why you stay at that speed. You're on your wheels, which is not as stable as being on your wings. There are some planes too that have a very narrow wheelbase. The wheels come down and it leaves you with a very narrow, not very sturdy. Now, I don't like going through airplanes, so I'm just going to go around this guy. You can go through them. The sim doesn't even know. They're just randomly parking. And as long as you're taxiing, you're on the tarmac, and you're getting to your destination, it's not going to ding you for that. I got full left rudder now, but it seems that my brake is on. Here we go. And I went around the plane. What do they have us doing here? Oh, because there's a body there, I don't want to go through the body. So I'll just go this way. They got a body on left and right. So that's the way to figure it out, you guys. Even if the arrows aren't that, they could be a bit confusing. I've got full right rudder. There's something wrong with the brake. My full right rudder seems to energize my brake. It's not turning at all. Wow. Had to really crank it. And come to a stop. Doesn't have to be perfect.
You turned your passengers into flight addicts, haven't you? Anyway, I can see that anxiety has turned into excitement. Well done.
You don't usually get those comments. All right, engine's off so I can turn up the volume a little more. Let's see what's happening. 95% on sightseeing quality. They got me on something. There's that landing little waiver that you saw. The aviator performance, there were no hits, so I didn't miss a radio call, so I was okay on that. So that was pretty good. That's considered an above average, as they say. All right, when you get those kind of numbers. And if you're doing well like this, you've got it. You've got it figured out. And let's see what the paycheck looks like. And because you own the company, wait till you see the numbers. Remember, it wasn't this high when I first grabbed it. It was 17,000 or something, right? I got a reputation bonus, but look at the no skip bonus. This is cool, and this is where you're really starting to make the money. This isn't a huge paycheck, you guys. I've done a lot of transport flights, transporting parcels, and the transport flights, they might be listed at 45,000, and by the time all the bonuses are done, it's over 100,000. Those are great flights to do. That's why my first company was a transport company. It's all the same procedure you saw here, and that should jump up a little bit. Okay, thank you. I got to work my way back up after that, the crash on the previous mission. Went up another level, which will help with specializations. You could go in and start looking at your companies and assess how it's going. You can see companies, plural, balance. Minus 35. Income and outgo. Well, you can see that 125 income, 128 outflow. Got to make some more money. So what I would do, I mean, I've still got 99,000. I was down to 74. So, it's getting back up there. It's a slow grind. But what I'll do, I'll stop the video now. But what I'll do after this is I'll go into I'll go into missions. And now I'll go to where I know I can do some transport flights and go pick up 100,000. All right, so like here, if this is a 45, just give it a second here till it comes through. It's only a 17. So let me just show you to make faster money, find the hot spots, transport. There's some transport back here. A lot of flight seeing, look at this. 18,000, 18, and those with bonuses could come up to 25, 30, almost double. All right, but let me just come over to where my transport service is, which I started first. Here's the company I started first. Let's come over here, and I see no transports. I see lots of flyers, like banner towing. I see no transports. I wonder why. Oh, there's one. Got one. There's usually a lot more, but take a look at this. 30,000. When you're finished, it'll be 60, 70, 80. 23,000. What's this one? 23. Now we might have to move an airplane over, but these are the 37. There we go. Look at that one. I'm going to take that one, not far, but it's going to give me another 60,000. I'm just going to build up 60,000 at a time until I've got lots of more money, and then I can buy another certification. I can buy another airplane. I can do anything that needs to be done. Let me just finish up by showing you that. Here's where we took off. We took off 01. Let me think about it. No, we took off 19er, which is almost south, did a left turnout and followed the square brackets to our first, let's bring that up bigger, to our first lookout. Almost a perfect circle. Well, I followed the arrows. I followed the square brackets. Sent me over this way, followed another one. Went almost 360 when I turned around and headed over to the next one. Again, each one of them I went to the left and I tipped the right wing. That might have helped. I don't know if they're even measuring that part of it, but that's what I do in real life. Coming back, we were very close to just simply do a left base to a final. Did our announcement on the final, landed on 19, and then we taxied off the way they told us to, all the way over to there. There we go. That's a complete mission. We bought a company, we did a full mission, and that's all I'm going to show you at this point. All right, those were the demonstrations, and I hope that was enough to give you an insight on how things are done. Let's go take a look at my recommendations. So the very first thing I want to talk about, I'm giving you a list of recommendations, and then I'm going to summarize the skills you learn in this Part 1 and Part 2 career mode. All right, the first recommendation, watch the upper right-hand corner for prompts. ATC and where you have to go. Those are all important. They'll affect your score. Second, do missions that you want to do in your own company eventually. the specializations will appear quicker. I'm going to move out of the way here while we go to the next few items so that I'm not in the way. Next, do all radio communications. Pay attention to the upper right for prompts. It's just a second recommendation, all right? Next, abort a mission if you really mess it up. In the earlier missions, it did not affect my status, but Oz Nomad, who's an experienced company owner in career mode, says that it can affect your score, but very little. So you can still abort a mission. It's better than if you've crashed and burned a couple times. When I was having trouble controlling the helicopter, it wasn't my hardware, but a couple of missions knocked my reputation down to a C. A couple of missions, I'm down doing crop dusting, the tail starts spinning, I can't control it, I go straight to the ground, boom. And it puts me back in the air and says, you crashed, and then that's going to affect my score. I'm going to have one mess of a score. And it did wreck my reputation for a while, and I lost experience, I lost the credits I was supposed to get. So when those disasters happen, just press escape, hit abort. It'll confirm, do you really want to abort? Yes. Whatever the small amount is that you might lose in credits or whatever, I didn't lose anything when I did it. But Oz says that you do lose some later on, right? Just abort the mission, all right? Resist the urge to skip parts of the mission. You will not receive the no skip bonus. And in some cases, that's the biggest part of your paycheck because you actually did the whole cruise. Even if you did it in autopilot, you want to do that cruise. Some are saying you can skip the walk around at the very start, taking the covers off. You can skip that without penalty. But everything else, all the taxiing out to the runway, hold short, etc., taking off, landing, taxiing back to the hold short, calling the tower, taxiing back to the parking, shutting down properly. Don't skip any of that. There's a prompt in the corner all the time. Shift N, you can skip this part. Yeah, watch your paycheck. I did it just to see what the paycheck was like. And your pay will be little. Don't focus only on the money. You want to get the certification and specializations that make you happy. I know where I want to go. The VIP charter service. I definitely want to take cargo and people. Maybe someday do some of the rescue missions in the further certifications. But for now, use those companies and make lots of money. And then I can sit down and think about what I want to do next. And enjoy it. Because that's what it's all about. I'm also going to cover the skills learned, you guys, as a summary here. This is important. By forcing missions until you have enough credits to move on, it forces you to get familiar with your aircraft in various conditions. Remember, each mission could be a different airplane if you're not used to flying it. My very first caravan mission, I came in too hot to land, right? And it dinged me on that. This career mode forces you to make your radio calls, even at uncontrolled airports. Uncontrolled airports means there's nobody in the tower, and you just say your call on the CTAF or on the Unicom or whatever frequency it says, right? You make your call. In other words, you just announce what you're going to do. I'm announcing I'm going to go taxi 2 the hold short. I'm announcing I'm about to take runway 6 and take off and depart to the north. I'm announcing that I'm 10 miles out inbound to land. I'm announcing that I'm on final. And I'm announcing that I'm now at the hold short looking for parking. You know, these are announcements only. There's no reply. You're just announcing what you're doing. You got to do that at uncontrolled airports in real life. And that's pretty cool. You're going to learn from it, even if you're not actually saying anything. It penalizes you for lousy flying. Crashes, abrupt maneuvers, taxiing too fast, etc. It penalizes you for lousy flying. Great. I agree with that completely. If it didn't, you'd be a lousy flyer forever and wonder why your paychecks aren't getting very big. I've had one person that says, even when I own a company, I'm not making very much money at all. I said, you should be, the very first missions in your company, you should be making in the double-digit thousands, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. I'm even making 90,000 on some missions. He goes, you got to be kidding. He's doing lousy flying. It's killing his mission pay. All right? So you got to get those first lessons that I talked about in part 1. Get those lessons on skilled flying. Manage your airplane the way you're supposed to, and it will reap rewards, right? It rewards you for not skipping. Gives you full paychecks. It unlocks new opportunities, and I like that. It makes it fresh. It's never boring. I'm doing things I never did in 2020. I'm doing things I haven't done in real life. I'm loving it. And it's fun. It's fun! Regardless of how simplified they made the career process, it's fun. And that's the bottom line. It should be. We escape to the sim to practice, to have fun, to look at scenery, to land at places we never land. Whatever the reason you come to the sim and whatever timeline you have to play in the sim, we should have fun with it. All right, there's the summary of the whole thing. I'll come back into the picture here just to recap this whole thing. We continued the career mode. We went into more advanced things. I've shown you even how to start a company, which is pretty advanced. It takes a lot of money. Some of the top earning certifications, how do you figure out how to get there from here? We looked at specializations to see how they grow and what criteria it is to get at each of those. And then finally did a complete buy a company and spent a lot of money, you know. Talk about fun, lots of fun. And each of these areas, you get to try stuff, just like we've seen in some of the cut scenes of the teasers they gave us right from the very start. Some of these I still have to refine. I can fly fixed wing anywhere, it seems, because of all my years of experience. Helicopters also, I've got lots of experience flying those in the sim. This one is a real challenge. Don't know if they have to change the dynamics or if it's just more real. And if that's possible, then I have to get better at fine-tuning my helicopter skills. I am still learning to do the agricultural part properly. Getting it steady, getting it consistent, getting it to be smooth. This is my next challenge, is to get this as smooth as possible. And I love the Robinson R66. So keep that in mind, you guys. I hope this was helpful. There will be a part 3 coming out, but I need to build more hours and need to get to those certifications so that I can record them and get them ready for the part 3 video. So that might take a week or 2 to get to those. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you coming on board and seeing what's going on. Let's move over to a main screen here, what I call the classroom, where I finish up. And in here, you've seen part 1 and part 2 there behind me. And, you know, now we've covered what it really is in career mode. I hope this has given you some incentive to actually venture in here and try some things, or learn some of the lessons, or try to get to one of the specialty areas so that you can have some fun with this. It's better than just free flying. Free flying, certainly you have the flexibility to go where you want to go and handle the plane whatever way you want to handle it. Some of you will just fast track and take every exam without even lessons and try to get to the airlines because that's what you want to fly. I've heard that from some of you. But just think, there's a lot of value in here if you take your time and actually enjoy it. This will give you years of enjoyment and variety. I hope you venture into it too. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.